Waterfall, the CCW podcast.
Joining us today, we have Natalie Mathie, who's an energy expert and spokesperson at Uswitch. Natalie is passionate about sharing advice and building products that help people manage their homes more efficiently. She has a particular interest in the energy sector and has been instrumental in developing Utrack by Uswitch, which is an energy tracking app that connects to smart meters to help users find ways to reduce their energy consumption and save on their bills. Natalie's been very actively involved in promoting energy saving schemes and providing valuable insights into energy usage trends. In this episode, Natalie is going to share her expert tips on energy efficient laundry. From common misconceptions to practical advice on using eco-wash cycles and maintaining laundry appliances, Natalie is going to provide us with valuable insights to help you save energy, water and money. Before we get into that though, remember you can get in touch with us by emailing podcast@ccwater.org.uk, and you can find us on social media. You just search CCW Voice. So, without further ado, let's dive in and learn how to make our laundry habits more sustainable. So, Natalie, thanks for joining us today. What are the common misconceptions people have around water and energy usage whilst doing their laundry, and how can we address them to ensure that we're more efficient and being sustainable when we're washing our clothes?
So I think the first thing that we would say in terms of the biggest misconception when it comes to doing laundry at home is that you really need hot washes to get those stains out of your clothes. So that's the number one piece of advice that we give here at Uswitch is really do take a look at eco mode on your machines. It might take quite a long time, but the most expensive part of running a washing machine, and it's the same for a dishwasher, is heating that water. So if you can do a long, slow eco cycle, it's going to use much lower temperatures and less water to get the same results at the end.
Oh, that is fascinating. I think of that at home. I use the eco cycle on my washing machine, but equally, whilst I wash my clothes at 30, I'm sure it's better for them. We know that heating up water is a really expensive thing to do, so it impacts your bills. But I'm convinced that I need to wash my bed sheets and my towels on 60.
I think that is a common theme that we see. These days, washing detergents are so effective at killing bacteria and getting rid of stains, even at 30 degrees. So as much as you're tempted to crank up to 60, or even we hear people say 90 degrees for washing their towels, it really doesn't need to be that hot. You will still be able to get nice, clean towels and bed linen on a much colder wash.
Well, that is amazing, Natalie. That's music to my ears. I am now going to turn down the temperature and perhaps stop boiling all of my towels. I'm sure it's not good for their longevity either. So there's lots of simple things that people can do to save water and energy and ultimately money, I think, by washing clothes. So we've touched on there, the temperature has a huge impact. Are there other things that we can do as well?
So the other thing we'd say is make sure you're filling your washing machine as much as you can, but also don't overdo it. So have a look at the kilograms, the capacity of your machine, and try and make sure that you're not, putting only a handful of items in for a whole wash. But at the same time, if you overload your washing machine, it's going to really struggle to turn and might need more energy to do so. So make sure you're filling it to a good level. And also these days as well, you don't need to necessarily do your colours separate from your whites. There's, simple things like colour catchers you can add in to then reduce the number of washes you need to do overall as well.
That is a great tip. I do still separate, that's a habit, isn't it? Separate out my whites from my dark things. But you're right, sometimes because, I don't know, across the winter I tend to wear darker clothes. Is that normal? Who knows? But it means that sometimes it can take quite a while before I've got a reasonable amount of things to wash. But yeah, with a colour catcher, I could probably do that sooner by putting them all in together. My goodness, this is like household cleaning tips as well, Natalie. Thank you. I think we touched on a little bit the eco mode as well, and most modern washing machines, or even ones that are a few years old now, I think, have an eco mode setting on it. But how does that actually help? You said it does take longer, and I know I've experienced that. When I press the eco button, my wash goes from being about an hour and a half to just over 2 hours. But that is actually saving energy and water as it works. Is that right?
Yeah, so I think the way to think about it is it's almost like doing a bit of a pre-soak on your clothes before then washing things out. So you don't need that hot temperature to get the stain out if it can sit in water for longer and go at a slower pace. So it's going to use a much lower temperature. And as mentioned, that is where most of your electricity cost is going, is heating up that water. So if it can effectively slowly wash all of your stains and dirt out of your clothes, it doesn't need to heat up to those higher temperatures. However, it will just take longer. But it's the water saving as well as the electricity saving. So it's a win-win if you're not in a rush. I think what we would say is, if you do want clothes cleaner in a sort of quicker time, then also make sure you're looking at those quick cycles in your machine, which will still heat up the water to a higher temperature, but obviously are using electricity for a shorter period of time, so can perhaps offer some savings as well.
Oh, that is such a great idea. So rather than just going with your standard wash on, there's a speed button that seems to knock about 30 minutes off, you'd actually probably be better off using like that 15-minute quick cycle.
I think, again, washing detergents these days, they don't need hours to get all the dirt out of your clothes. So definitely take a look at those shorter cycles.
That is fascinating, isn't it? I suppose it's somewhere in our psyche, isn't it? Perhaps going back a couple of decades, maybe detergent products weren't so good, but the technology's moved on, and so we can actually be more efficient as we do the laundry through our energy and water use, because the detergents are effective.
Yes. On my washing machine, I have a normal load setting, and it's always very tempting just to put everything on normal because you think that covers everything, but actually it's quite a high temperature and quite a long wash, so it's probably not the most eco-friendly.
You're right, isn't it? Yeah, if something says that's normal, I think that is probably tempting to press that button every time, but I guess that's the joy of podcasts like Waterfall, is we can help people learn about the alternatives, and that actually cooler, longer, or short, sharp might be better. And once we've done our washing, how about the drying of the clothes? What are the best ways people can reduce their energy consumption there?
Well, the number one most obvious thing is try not to use a tumble dryer unless you really, really need to. So take advantage of, not guaranteed, but we have had some beautiful weather so far this summer. It's amazing. You can get your whole washing load dry in an hour in the sun these days in the UK. Who'd have thought it? The tumble dryer is pretty much the most expensive appliance that you're going to run in your home. So unless you really need to, definitely avoid doing that. Get your clothes outside, up on the line, and go back to more traditional ways of drying your clothes, we'd recommend.
I think that's good advice. And there's something incredibly satisfying as well about pegging out your clothes on a sunny day and having them line dried and all lovely and fresh. Uswitch have developed the Utrack app to help people track their energy usage. Can you tell us a bit about that, Natalie?
Absolutely. So Utrack is a service that we built several years ago during the energy crisis. So we really wanted it to be a way of helping people become more aware of how they were using energy at home, so they could work out if perhaps they could shift their behavior a little bit and actually reduce both their electricity and their gas usage. So it's a free service. It's available on the Uswitch app. It's also on the Uswitch website if you sign up for a free account. And it just takes a couple of minutes to connect your smart meter to it. It can then pull out your historical smart meter data, and also then for the foreseeable future can give you kind of hourly breakdowns of electricity and gas usage in your home. And it's got lots of useful insights, so you can work out if there are sort of strange things going on overnight, and perhaps you've got something running overnight when you shouldn't, or perhaps there are certain days of the week where maybe you're using more energy than you think you might be. So it's a very useful service.
Oh, that is, isn't it? I think I remember it when we first saw energy bills really starting to increase, wondering how on earth I was spending like £1 on electricity overnight when I was like, but I'm asleep, nothing's happening. And then finding a number of appliances around my house seem to just use power constantly, just sitting there on in the background, even though they're not doing anything.
Yes, we find it's shocking the standby costs. So as you said, just having things plugged in, all your phone chargers, if you've got printers, TVs left on standby, all of those things, it can often be about 20% of some people's energy bills. So it's definitely something worthwhile. If you don't need to leave things switched on, definitely switch them off at the wall if you can.
Yeah, I don't know if everybody in my house enjoys me doing that, but I am fanatical about turning things off at a plug now if it's not being used. I don't care that it takes the TV box a long time to warm itself back up. It's going off. And as well as that Utrack app, are there any other tools you'd recommend to people who are wanting to monitor their energy or their water use at all, Natalie?
One thing we'd definitely recommend is have a look at your energy suppliers' offerings and see if so there are schemes these days offered by some suppliers where you get 3 hours of electricity. So for instance, on a Sunday between sort of 11 a.m. 4 p.m., you can get free electricity in. If you shift all of your washing and let's say your bulk cooking and things like that to those periods of free energy, you can actually make really quite large savings. So definitely take a look and see if there are supplier schemes. We also, as part of the Utrack offering within the Uswitch app, you can take part in energy saving events. So you can earn money for shifting your electricity usage away from those peak hours during the week. So 4 to 7 p.m. when most of the UK is really using the most electricity. You can actually get rewarded for shifting and cooking your dinner that little bit later, or, putting your dishwasher on a little bit later that evening.
My goodness, that's really exciting. I mean, who doesn't like to actually get a reward for making what's probably quite a small change, really, to just move your energy usage by an hour or two? Excellent stuff. And the Utrack app, you said it's available through the website or through the Uswitch app, so people can just download it.
Yes, absolutely.
Exciting. And what other advice could you give us, Natalie, to help us easily and practically save water at home?
So we recently ran a survey looking at people's showering habits and bath habits and things like that. And something that we came across is what's called the everything shower. So there's a bit of a TikTok trend going on, and it's Gen Z, I think, seem to be the biggest culprits. But these are potentially hour-long showers where people are doing everything from, long hair masks and full beautification regimes. The worry with these is not only do they cost a lot in terms of water consumption, but it's the energy consumption. So if you've got an electric shower or you've got a mixer shower that's being powered by your gas boiler, the costs really, really can add up. And we've crunched the numbers. And if you're taking one of those long showers once a week, it could be adding something like £150 a year onto your energy bill. So almost 10% on top of the average energy bill, wow. Which is a lot of money. So that's something that we've seen trends forming around it, but we'd probably recommend you try and stay clear if you can.
That sounds sensible, yeah. And as lovely as it is to do a hair mask, perhaps turn the shower off whilst you're waiting for that to set. Maybe, I don't know, step out of the shower, read a book or something. It's not saying that you can't do these things. It's just saying don't leave the water running whilst it happens. Yeah. Although the thought of having an hour to myself in the bathroom just on beautification sounds like great fun, actually. What a luxury, but not with the water on. So what would, you've mentioned we've had brilliant weather for hanging out washing, absolutely, but I think we see as well when the temperatures really start to heat up, people do tend to use more water because it's hot. We use it for washing, cooling ourselves off, watering the garden, etc. What are your top water and energy saving tips for the summer? Are there any garden energy water guzzling appliances we should avoid?
I mean, the most obvious one would be if you've got a jacuzzi. If you're lucky enough to have a jacuzzi or a hot tub in your garden, definitely pay attention to the amount of energy and the amount of water that those consume, as it can be sort of astronomical. So that's definitely something that we'd encourage you to keep an eye out for. And obviously at the moment, there's sort of hosepipe bans and things going on. So if you can avoid watering your garden, that's obviously always going to help bring down those water bills as well.
Absolutely. Do you know, I hadn't even thought about jacuzzi and hot tub. You're right. I guess if you let that cool down and then heat it all back up again when you want to get into it, that probably is an astronomical cost.
It's definitely, if you're lucky enough to have one of those, I hope you didn't go into that decision lightly and you sort of crunch the numbers to work out how much it was going to cost you to run.
Yes, or else you might have a cold tub outside, which is probably less enjoyable on a summer evening. I don't know, it depends how hot it gets, I suppose, doesn't it? Are there any energy and water saving tips that you use yourself at home, Natalie?
So I think the main thing that I would say is I often have a bucket that I leave outside to catch rainwater to water my plants. So I feel like I'm going to be judged by my neighbours if I do get my hose pipe out. So I don't want to be one of those people. So I do have a bucket that lives outside, and I will use that to then slosh over my plants and my little herb pots and things like that in the garden. So that's definitely a key tip that I would say. The other thing that I do is my tumble dryer, if I do need to use it, it collects the water in the drum. So as well, that water can be reused. It's really good for ironing water, actually. So if you need to spritz your clothes to get your creases out of your clothes, that tumble dry water is excellent to use.
It's a really great tip. Genuinely great. I don't think we've ever heard that before. And I didn't know that. And now I'm going to go and check my tumble dryer and see if it has anything. You're right. There are times when the weather is inclement and you do sometimes need to get something dry, as unideal as it is. But what a great thing to do, to be able to reuse the water from that. Good thinking. And are there any ways that we can reduce our energy bills, Natalie?
Right, as well as trying to reduce your energy consumption at home to bring your bills down, the key piece of advice we'd give at Uswitch is really make sure you're looking around to see if there are better energy deals out there. If you're on a standard variable tariff and you have been for several years, there are significant savings to be made by switching onto a new deal and taking out a fixed tariff. So we definitely recommend you run a comparison, pop in your details. It's super quick, only takes a few minutes, and the savings could be really substantial.
Fantastic. And you could probably download the Utrack app whilst you're there. Now, we've got one last question for you, Natalie, and this is something that we do ask all of our guests on Waterfall, and that is, do you know what your daily water use is?
So I did actually look this up before. My average consumption sort of for a member in my household is 166 litres a day, which I believe is just over the average. However, I put a little toddler running around who not only creates a mountain of washing every single day, but also gets so dirty that he needs a bath every single day. So I think the culprit, I think before him, I probably was quite a low user. I always do quick showers. I definitely don't do the everything showers. So unfortunately, I'm a little bit over average at the moment, but I'm hoping as he gets older that will come back down again.
I think that's likely. I think once you have fewer toddler baths and clothes washes, you'll probably see that come down to something far closer to the average. So you can't just leave children and say save water. They don't always understand, do they? That's for sure. Well, thank you so much, Natalie, for sharing some really valuable insights and genuinely fresh new practical tips about how to reuse our water, how to save water, and how to save energy at the same time, and that all adds up to saving money. So it's really clear that by making small changes to our laundry habits, we can make a difference to our water and energy consumption, and ultimately, as well as our pocket, it's our environment, which is a win for everybody. So for more practical tips and to save water and money, don't forget to visit CCW website at ccw.org.uk, where you'll find a wealth of information and tools to help you save. That's it for this edition of Waterfall. It's goodbye from me, Cath, and thanks so much for listening.